Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm very excited for our conversation today with you, Juan. I'm hoping that we can get started with a state of play between Zapia and WhatsApp. What is going on there in that relationship?
Great question. It's great to be here. First of all, hi to everyone. Not sure if all of you know, but a few months ago, Meta, owner of WhatsApp, announced they would be kicking us out of WhatsApp, the place where we have been building our company for a couple of years. Before that, they really incentivized us to build there. We were talking all the time with senior leadership at Meta. And one day, out of nowhere, we got a message that we would be kicked out of WhatsApp. At the moment, we have like 1.5 million active users using Zapia from WhatsApp. It was 97% of our user base. So, of course, we had to went the legal path here in Brazil. We were quite successful battling with Meta here. We went with CADE, which is the competition authority in Brazil. And they really helped us. For the last 30 days, they put a fine of $50,000 per day to Meta. It's not too much money for them, but I think CADE has done a very good job.
Right, and my understanding too is that Meta will start charging a fee for the users on your platform. So does Zapia plan to stay on the platform and accept that fee, or what's next?
No, it's impossible to pay the fee. They are charging on a per message basis. So the fee is really impossible to sustain, especially for Latin America. If we try to surpass that fee to the users, they will not be able to pay it. It's very expensive. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we migrated to our app. Mm-hmm. Many users have migrated there. And from there, we're building a much more stronger business, completely independent from Meta. And we don't have to pay them fees. We expect in the few weeks or months, Meta to start complying with CADE's resolution, which says that they cannot charge us. So in the following months, we expect that to happen. And maybe then we consider building it again in WhatsApp. But our business is much more stronger and much more resilient from our own app. And we're liking it more there.
So you might consider going back to WhatsApp depending on how it all shakes out. There's a lot of fluidity right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It depends what they do with the pricing. The current pricing is completely unsustainable.
Yeah, and out of the 1.5 million users that you had when you were on WhatsApp, how many have migrated to your own independent platform?
Originally, like 350,000.
Okay.
And from that new base, we are growing again with a much stronger product. So now we are about 450K and growing again.
So it's been disruptive to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very disruptive.
Yeah.
But also a crisis and opportunity. So we're enjoying the ride.
Yeah. What does this mean for consumers in a region where WhatsApp is the operating system for much of daily life? This is what people in Latin America use for all sorts of things.
Well, as you know, Latin Americans use WhatsApp for everything, from buying, shopping, negotiating. Everything runs on top of WhatsApp. So for their users, I think it's a monopolistic action to remove businesses that want to provide services in WhatsApp. WhatsApp has become a sort of essential infrastructure for Latin Americans, especially for Brazilians. Over 80% of business transactions in Brazil at a certain point go through WhatsApp. But the good news is that from our app, we built a connector with WhatsApp, which is the most advanced AI connector in the world. Between an AI and WhatsApp. And now users can provide access to their WhatsApp to ask Zapia to manage it on their behalf. And this is a very interesting new thing that serendipity brought us there. We didn't expect it, and we are enjoying it a lot, and users are really loving it.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit more. How are users loving it? How are they using it specifically? How is it impacting their daily lives and benefiting them?
Great. Great question. Among the top 1% users, we're seeing many businesses. Originally, when we started this company, we wanted to use AI to help Latin Americans save time and save money. Mm-hmm. What's actually happening is that they are using it to make money. And it's very interesting. For example, I have a friend that owns a restaurant in Montevideo, a small boutique restaurant, very nice. he uses Zapia for almost everything. He built a team of agents there. He built one agent for supplies. So this agent sees when he's low on supplies. He negotiates the supplies with the suppliers. He gets better prices. He has another agent that manages his social media, all built with Zapia, automating his social media. He has another agent for reservations. So he really built completely autonomous team that is managing his restaurant on his behalf, completely for free, and increasing his sales, increasing his revenue. So this is one of the few ways users are using it.
Those are employees that he doesn't have to necessarily have anymore because he's automated all of this work.
Well, actually, it's employees that he couldn't have before. He couldn't have them. He had to do all the job himself. He was probably working 15 hours per day. And now with the help of AI, he's saving time, having more time with his family, growing his business, and potentially hiring more employees that do other type of jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense. How would you compare the Latin American markets that you operate in versus Silicon Valley, where maybe the user base is wealthier, they have all these credit cards, these subscriptions, and there's abundant computing resources as well?
It's a great question. The realities are very, very different here. From willingness to pay, subscriptions in Latin America is very low. Users cannot afford several subscriptions per month. Smartphones here are not as good as the ones in the US, so apps have to be lighter. APIs for most services are unavailable, so you cannot build an AI around API connectors. You have to find other ways to build a resilient product. The reality is completely different here. So for example, instead of APIs, you have to innovate in ways to crawl websites or to speak with users through WhatsApp, which is what we have done. Subscriptions is a very bad option here for monetization. Users don't want to pay subscriptions. They prefer to see ads instead of paying subscription. They prefer you monetize on the business side and not on the subscription side. So we started this company because we saw that the Latin American reality is very different than that of the US and even that of China, and that Latin Americans needed a product that caters their real needs, and that's where we are building around.
And beyond the real needs of a small business owner or an entrepreneur, what about just an average Latin American person going about their daily life? They have this AI agent. How are they interacting with it? Can you paint that picture?
Yes, absolutely. In a way, like all people has a combination of work and personal life. Personal life in Latin America generally happens on top of WhatsApp. Work happens on top of email, calendar, Slack, and a few other tools that we all use. What we try to do is build a tool that has the most context. So as it's connected with your WhatsApp, it has the context of your personal life. As it's connected with your calendar, your email, your Slack, and whatever, it has the context of your work. The line between work and personal life in Latin America is thinner than anywhere else in the world. You have to have a work-life integration because you have to work a lot in Latin America to survive and to thrive. So we try to provide a tool that can help users with both. In the terms of personal life, they use it for everything, from reservations to companionship. We find it incredible to see many users that report to us how Zapia has changed their health, Zapia has changed their sports, their nutrition, and many other things. And we're also seeing lots of users using it to improve their capabilities at work.
And that's a lot of trust that is being put into these systems, whether it's in WhatsApp or in Zapia independently. You're talking about your personal life, your employee data, your business data, a lot of sensitive information that is going on in there. And one major thing that we have seen are these capabilities in cybersecurity explode through Anthropic's Mythos. How are you thinking about protecting your consumers and your customers in this new age of Mythos and cybersecurity challenges?
That's a great question. I think the writing principle that we use is that for any action that commits the user to something, there needs to be a human in the loop, the user in the loop, making an approval of that task. AI cannot commit the user today with the current capabilities and current place of the technology, the state of the art. You cannot use it to really transact autonomously. It needs to have user approval. Users need to watch it closely, either if they're using Zapia, they're using Claude, they're using OpenClaw, whatever they use. they need to stay in the loop. You cannot just leave it completely autonomously and don't care about what's happening, because it will eventually make a mistake. You have to watch it close, and that's the writing principle. Whenever we need to take an action that commits the user to a transaction or whatever, the user has to be in the loop and commit to that transaction.
And the platform is also encrypted, is that right? Like WhatsApp was?
WhatsApp is encrypted. Zapia is anonymized, not actually encrypted. AI needs to read the conversations, just like ChatGPT, Gemini, and all other AIs. They need to read the conversations in order to help the user, so it cannot be encrypted per se.
And in the US, I live in Washington, D.C., and the conversation around meeting the cybersecurity challenges of AI are really picking up steam. There's zero appetite to regulate in the Trump administration, but they're still moving forward on that. What do you make? Should there be of that? Should there be more government intervention or regulation specifically to protect our data in that way?
I think it's very early still for regulation. I think eventually there should be. I'm against regulation in general. I think the users have to be really aware of the tools that they are using. They need to understand them and supervise them closely. And there's always a trust benefit sense of it. For many years, we have all used email, which till today, it's not encrypted, it's not regulated. For many years, we use WhatsApp. WhatsApp has only been encrypted since 2019, I think. So regulation might be important, but we need to make sure that regulation doesn't kill innovation. I think that's a writing principle for the next few years. And that regulation allows the users to take the most amount of benefit out of these tools. Because if we regulate it a lot, it will be impossible for users to use it, and we might kill innovation.
Do you have any concerns that this technology is moving so fast, though, that the average person and the average user doesn't really know the way it works or how to protect themselves?
I think people is smart, and people wants to learn, and I'm seeing a lot of people that 1 year ago you wouldn't expect them, and today they are becoming heavy users of AI, and they are trying to understand, and they are leveraging AI to improve their quality of lives. So I'm very optimistic. I think humans will adapt to this revolution. It's an important revolution, but humans will adapt like they have always done to new technologies that eventually, at the beginning, they are scary. At the beginning, it looks like it might go wrong. I'm very optimistic. I understand the risks, and I know there are risks with AI because the rhythm of change is going to be the fastest in the history of humanity. But I am very optimistic that the results will be very good for humanity.
Yeah. And Juan, the AI conversation, is often dominated by the US and by China. Could Latin America become one of the biggest proving grounds for consumer AI agents, and what lessons would the rest of the world learn from that adoption?
Well, I think it's already, for example, Brazil, it's probably the most AI-addicted nation in the world. I think it's number 1 or number 2 in AI adoption in business for economically active users. So it's already being a proving ground for that. I think there's a big possibility that Latin America leapfrogs the US and China, just like it leapfrogged Latin Americans skipped desktop computers. They jumped directly to smartphones. They jumped directly to conversations. They are heavy users of WhatsApp. They are conversational by nature. And the AI, first of all, it's a conversational product. For the first time in the world, computers can talk our language with us. We're conversational by nature, so Latin Americans will adopt it very quickly and probably leapfrog the US and China in terms of adoption.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you, shifting gears here a little bit. In the US, we're preparing to see a whole host of IPOs worth trillions of dollars, SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic. What is the spillover effect going to be for the startup community in Latin America?
Wow, I don't know. I hope it's positive. I think the return on investment is questionable for these kind of valuations of $1 trillion. I think part of that might be a bubble, part of that isn't. The technology is real, the technology is life-changing, and there's a lot of investment for good AI companies in Latin America right now. There's a lot of investor interest. There's a lot of incredible entrepreneurs. We now have the first Brazilian unicorn in AI. So I think it will continue to be a great place to build, the place to build, probably the best opportunity in the history of humankind.
Yeah. You're not worried about competition being stifled at all by these giants becoming worth trillions of dollars?
No, of course. Competition is very tough. I'm worried. It motivates me a lot. We work very, very hard because it's very difficult to compete. We're one of the only consumer companies in Latin America, AI consumer companies in Latin America. Especially, we're probably the only one that is competing in a sense directly with the US giants and the Chinese giants. And of course, it's a very tough competition. What we try to do is only think of the Latin American person. And we believe if we help the Latin American person more than any other AI in the world, we will win. And especially, we will enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Can you dig a little bit more into what the needs of the Latin American person are exactly compared to others across the world?
When we started this company, we identified two core needs in Latin America: save time and save money. Those are the biggest scarcities in Latin America, time and money. So that's the principle we use to build our product. Whatever can save you time and can save you money is good for the Latin American. We started with one of the first products that went viral within Zapia was the audio transcriptions in WhatsApp. Audio transcriptions are a very small product, but they help you save a lot of time. We're trying to build on top of the same principle for everything we do. To put a small example that I had 2 days ago, I made a reservation for an Airbnb in Rio de Janeiro. I was traveling with 2 other people to this Airbnb. The host asked me to send me my passport and the passport of the other guests. So instead of doing it myself, I simply asked Zapia, hey Zapia, go into my Google Drive, find my passport, talk to my 2 co-workers that are coming to the apartment as well, ask them for their passports in WhatsApp, and then send it through WhatsApp to the host. And all of this probably saved me 1 hour of my time that I had to be doing that. Instead of doing that, I was doing other productive things for my business, for my family, and for myself.
Right. Yeah, that's a huge pain when you have to do all that. Very last question here. What's next for Zapia? Are there any new markets that you want to break into, that you're thinking about breaking into?
We're considering expanding to Europe. Okay. We are seeing a lot of European users. Europe has many things in common with Latin America. The essential problem there is probably not the same because time and money is not that scarce over there, but the origins are the same. Yeah. They also use WhatsApp a lot, yep. And they are adopting Zapia hugely. It's already more than 10% of our user base, and we haven't done anything for them to adopt. At the same time, we always think the only way to win is to stay focused in a market. So yeah. We'll see. We'll see if we take that decision to jump to Europe as well or not.
Great. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.